Hello friends, I am now going to take you through a topic called leadership effectiveness. The main objective of this chapter is to throw some light on leaders, leadership and leadership effectiveness. Are you a leader? I am not. Why? I feel I do not have the ability to lead. Maybe you are a better leader because you are confident. Why do people actually follow leaders, and whom do they follow? People follow leaders whom they know. They follow leaders who they think will care about them. The people who follow have a lot of expectations from the leaders. They trust leaders with their character. People follow and respect leaders who are competent in many spheres of life. We generally look up to people who are successful. Successful not in terms of money, but successful in terms of power. It is because of the abilities that the person is endowed with, he could reach such a high position of power. People follow and approach leaders who are consistent. They are able to offer guidance. They are able to give them some kind of solace and support whenever there is certain kind of difficulty. People follow and admire leaders who show a degree of commitment. Leadership is never about getting money, but it is about delivering the work, the ideas to the followers, getting the things done and then giving a finished project or a task back to the management or the organization. It is about giving orders, getting the things done from a lofty position. It is not possible without a leader to run any show, whether it is a small group, a huge organization or a band for that matter. If you take a band, there is again a leader there who is better than the rest. Not in terms of their talents or abilities, but in terms of getting the work done. So, the presence of a leader is definitely going to contribute towards effective work atmosphere. Leadership, one thing we should understand, is not dictatorship. That is why we find that dictators or autocrats are the least preferred leaders. It is more about being a fellow with the group members, but guiding them at the same time towards the achievement of the group goals. At the same time, he is compassionate too towards the fellow members. A leader challenges, a leader inspires, a leader motivates, a leader communicates, and sometimes he has to shout in order to bring back order in the group. How do we know that leaders are effective? There are different types of leaders, different types of groups, but are all of them effective? Some are very successful, some are not. For example, let us take the Indian cricket team. We have seen leaders in the form of Sourav Ganguly, we have seen leaders in the form of Sachin Tendulkar, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Virat Kohli. What do you think was their leadership style? How effective were they as leaders? Ganguly was a very dominating and strict leader, Tendulkar not so, Dhoni famous as the cool captain, Virat Kohli filled with young blood. Are they effective or ineffective leaders? They have all tasted success, but leadership effectiveness is known when they are successful in achieving the tasks they were assigned. Leadership effectiveness is not concrete, it is dynamic, just as leadership is. We say leadership is dynamic because the leader has to mold himself according to the situation. Similarly, whether a particular style of leadership is effective or not depends solely on the kind of situation that the entire group is in. Leadership effectiveness that sustains will come about only after a certain time of practice. The concept of leadership effectiveness is difficult to define, as there are so many complex factors that play into making leadership successful or effective. There are multiple organizational contingencies and various personal and interpersonal behaviors. There are personal competencies, then absolute harmony between the interpersonal relations. The leader is absolutely happy with his followers, but when their goals and the organizational goals are not similar, when the leader feels that he can do better if there is some kind of an allowance given by the organization, then there is going to be a bit of less effectiveness. So, to define leadership effectiveness, it is the successful exercise of personal influence of one or more people which will result in accomplishing shared objectives and goals of a given group or an organization. While doing so, the members of the group also are happy that the work is being accomplished, and the organization also is happy with the performance of its employees or the group. What we have understood so far may hold good for smaller groups or smaller organizations. Leadership effectiveness is really difficult to trace down in huge political parties or in huge organizations. Effective leadership requires that the organization objectives be realized, they be accomplished, and the missions and the vision of the organization are met. Leadership effectiveness is seen in the way there is constant workflow and interdepartmental decision making process. In total, leadership effectiveness includes a dimension which is associated with not just one's followers, but also with one's colleagues. Take a department setting. You are the team leader. Your efficiency is not centered only in you, but on the performance of your group and also on the contributions that are made by your colleagues. So, we cannot say that effective leadership here will be effective leadership in any other situation also. To be a good leader, one has to follow. To be an inspired leader, one has to share of himself. To be a great leader, one has to develop the heart of a servant. A servant leader has passion and compassion towards his work, towards his members of the group. He inspires his group members through his actions, and he has time to listen to whatever they have got to share. He keeps his eyes open, his doors open, and he is full of ideas or advices to give to his subordinates rather than remain a tight-lipped leader. He knows whatever needs to be done is not beneath him, and that he has to share ideas, he has to give compliments, he has to arrive at solutions so that the functioning of the entire group is smooth. He understands that people do not really care much how you are until they know who you are. An effective leader will take responsibility of the entire task and offers endless support to his subordinates, and he will keep the team moving forward come what may. Effective leadership in contemporary society embodies many fundamental principles of human effectiveness. Principles governing leadership effectiveness. Leadership effectiveness, as we mentioned earlier, is dynamic. It provides an incremental environment. The subordinates in the group get their increments. We are not talking about the monetary increments, about a morale boost from time to time so that they give out their best. Leadership effectiveness is sequential. There is a gradual progress from this stage to another. and overall it is a highly integrated approach towards the development of the personal goals as well as the organizational goals. Who are effective leaders? What makes a leader to be effective? Are all leaders effective, and what is expected of these effective leaders? Katz and Kahn characterized an effective leader as a person who mediates, he shows direction to the group, he tempers the organizational requirements to the needs of the persons in a manner that is enhancing for the organization. He acts as a mediator between the personal goals and the organizational goals. He translates the organizational requirements to his group members, and he directs the group members to act in such a direction that the goals of the organization are met successfully. He promotes group loyalty and at the same time gives a lot of importance to group ties. Interpersonal relations play a pivotal role in the smooth functioning of a group or a department in any organization. It is the duty of this leader to see to it that the ball is rolling smooth and things are fine between the various members of the group. When there is some kind of a hitch in the group members, the outcome will definitely get marred. So, he is the binding factor between the various people in the group. He sees to it that the tasks are performed collectively and in an efficient manner. He demonstrates a lot of care for the group members. He relies on referent power rather than power of legitimacy and sanctions alone. If you think that you are not an effective leader, do you think it is the end of the road? No. There is always scope for development. How to be an effective leader? An effective leader, or rather to be an effective leader, you have to give directions to your followers. A task is given, your followers are confused. As a leader, you should identify the direction that they need to take. Set an example and then share the risks on equal footing. As an effective leader, you should be able to win the heart of your follower. An effective leader should practice what he preaches. He should listen with understanding and also be open to discuss as well as solve problems. He should offer help and support and also back up his followers whenever the need demands. He should have a team approach rather than be the sole authority to decide, translate, accomplish and then take the entire credit of the work that has been achieved by the group as a whole. An effective leader is one person who can delegate authority, not centralize authority. When he delegates the authority, he is able to win the confidence of the rest of the members in the group, give them some kind of an authority and autonomy to decide on how to go about a particular job. He should be able to communicate honestly with his followers and tell them clearly what is expected of them so that they can perform in the direction that is given to them, and in the entire process the leader will be able to win the trust of his followers or the group members. How does it feel when you have someone breathing down your neck? You are given a task and you are constantly monitored. You will not like it. Similarly, to be an effective leader, you should avoid close supervision. You should supervise, but only at times when it is necessary. Very close supervision makes the members very alert, and so this might again mar their performance. Not all people will be willing to take orders. Not all people will be willing to be spoon fed. So, give them the directions, the outline and see to it that they achieve their goal. These have to be the characteristics or the qualities that an effective leader should have. What kind of skills will make a leader perform better? we have learnt about various theories, and we also know that there are different kind of activities that the leader has to perform. So, leadership skills is a combination effect of the leadership styles as well as the activities that are expected of the leader to perform. Leadership skills are found to be extremely critical for succeeding in the modern day world. The skills that a leader needs to possess are quite a few. He should be able to show cultural flexibility. He should be open to different kind of cultures. He has to interact with quite a number of people day in and day out. He should not be rigid, but be more open to cultural diversity. Communication skills. Yes, he needs to possess the best of these skills. Not only orally, he also has to be good non-verbally too. So, emphasis is on verbal skills and non-verbal skills. At the same time, he also needs to have the listening capacity, which also is a very much an integral part of communication. There is another skill that is extremely important for a leader to have, that is the human resource development skills. Human resources are a part and parcel of leadership effectiveness. So, the leader must have human resource development skills of developing the right learning climate, designing training programs, then transmitting information that he has received from his authorities to the group members, and he has to bring about a clear organizational change through his work and the work of his team members. At the same time, he also has to adapt to the various learning materials that are handed out to him from time to time by the organization. Leadership can be effective only when there is creativity. Not all problems can be solved in the stereotype manner. Time and again we have been saying that situations are not similar, leaders are different, leadership styles are many, but adding in creativity, bringing in innovativeness are definitely going to bring out a lot of leadership effectiveness. This can be seen in the areas of problem solving, innovation and creativity, whereby there is a competitive advantage at every stage, competitive advantage within the group, then at the organizational level too. Leaders should not only develop this creativity aspect in themselves, but they should also be in a position to inculcate this kind of thought process of being innovative in their subordinates as well. It is only when you work as a team, when all of you adopt to the out of the box thinking strategies, that you will be able to arrive at novel ideas, novel solutions and bring about an organizational change or a group change that is more desired and favorable. Another skill that is needed by the leaders is the skill of management of learning. There are different kinds of situations that you may have to see, different types of situations that you will be accosted in life. It does not mean that you are not prepared to tackle these kinds of situations. You will have to learn. So, the leader has to always be on a self-learning process and instigate or inculcate the same kind of behavior even in his subordinates. Wetton and Cameron identified a few skills that effective leaders need to possess without fail. Verbal communication, yes, that we have understood that the leader has to be good at his verbal skills, because lack of skills he will definitely be laughed upon and looked down upon by the group members. He should be able to manage time and stress. A particular task is assigned to him, he should be able to achieve it within the deadline set. So, as a result there may be a lot of stress. He also must be able to manage the stress well by slotting out the work. The leader acts as a mediator between the organization and the group members. So, even though he is under pressure because of the organization, an effective leader will not pass on this pressure to his group members. He will manage his stress in his own style. In addition to that, he has to manage his individual decisions. He has to recognize, he has to define and solve problems of the organization and also of his group members. Of course, personal problems of his also have to be solved by himself. A leadership effectiveness is seen when the leader is motivating and inspiring his followers at every stage and every crucial moment of the course. An effective leader will always be motivating and influencing others. Yes, influencing not in the negative sense, but very much in the positive sense. People might feel low because they have not achieved something, their career is not progressing anywhere. As an effective leader, he has every right and responsibility to motivate them, push them to give their best so that they can get an increment or a promotion in the near future. He has to see that their morale never gets low. By influencing their ideas regarding their own selves, regarding their work, he is definitely able to have a positive impact on the way they think about themselves, on the way they can perform in the given task. Leadership can be effective when there is delegation of work. You assign a responsibility to a person. Yes, reading is your job, writing is your job, and compiling both is your job. The task is divided into 3 easy parts. So, the responsibility of reading is taken by someone else, the responsibility of writing is taken by someone else, and there is someone else to compile these two. As a result, no single individual is pressurized, no single individual will feel that I am bearing the entire brunt of the work. When there is equal distribution of work, there is increased self-worth. People feel they are being made a part of the work that is being assigned to them. There is something that cannot finish in a given task if they did not play that particular role in the completion of the task. Delegation therefore brings about a lot of positive feelings in the group members and as a result show or reflect through the effectiveness of the leader. The leader should articulate his goals clearly. He is translating the goals of the organization to the subordinates. So, he has to be articulate, he has to be clear in whatever he is conveying to the followers. At the same time, when a task is given, it is his responsibility to set the goals. He cannot just entrust the job to his followers just like that. He has to give them a direction. He has to set the goal. This is what you have to do by the end of this time. Do not delay it because you will be under stress. You will be under pressure for delivering the work. He has to tell them that these are the goals that we are expecting from you and you have to work in that direction. Any doubts, any clarifications, the leader has to tell them that he is ready to answer them or help them out. The leader has to be self-aware. He needs to be aware of his abilities, of his capabilities, strengths, weaknesses and all. It should not be a situation where the followers come up to him and pinpoint his negative streaks. Self-awareness will lead to self-improvement. This is one skill that all of the leaders should possess. Team building is another skill. You should not work in such a way that you remain the leader always. You have to build your team. You have to concentrate on each member of the team. Build them, each one of them, towards such a direction where the team becomes strong, each individual becomes confident, each individual understand the goals for which they are there. The goals are for realizing their self goals as well as realizing the goals of the organization. All days cannot be smooth. There may be some pressures, there may be conflicts. And when there are more than 2 or 3 people working in a group, there is bound to be conflict. A good leader, an effective leader will have to manage conflicts effectively and efficiently. Get down to the root of the problem. Understand the various possibilities or outcomes that the conflict has. Talk to the people who are involved in the conflict. Resolve it in a very amicable manner. Such resolution of conflicts will not mar the cohesiveness that has been established by the team. With the impetus that has been given by Wetton and Cameron, there were numerous follow-up studies done in the field of leadership effectiveness. The follow-up studies have identified 4 categories of effective leaderships. The first one is the participative and human relations skill. The participative in the sense the leader asks the other members of the groups to give in their ideas, he asks their perspectives, takes them into consideration, and also gives importance to relations between the people in the group and also relations of the followers with him. So, this is more of a supportive kind of an environment wherein all the members of the group are working, and this facilitates better team building. All of them work towards as being a single unit. Another skill is the leader being competitive and exercising control. The leader has to set an example, he has to be assertive, and he needs to exercise power and influence. The leader has to be in control of the way the work is going on. The leader has to be in control of how his team members are obeying his orders, are working towards getting their goals. Another effective leadership skill is that the leaders got to be innovative and need to possess entrepreneurship skills in them. Innovativeness calls for being more creative and having more problem solving ideas. Maintaining order and rationality in the group is also found to be highly essential skill for the leadership to be effective. They need to manage time, and there has to be rational decision making. These are the 4 different effective leadership skills that are found to be essential for the leadership to be successful. After their research in the leadership effectiveness area, Wetton and Cameron have found that almost all these skills are behavioral. These skills at times seem paradoxical and are contradictory, and these skills are interrelated and overlapping. Leadership effectiveness is achieved with the help of skills, and these skills can be overlapping and contradictory from given situation to another situation. Leadership effectiveness should work towards bringing about collaborative efforts in the group. So, it is the leader at the helm of the affairs, and he has to follow certain principles to bring out the best from his group. He has to establish fearless communication. He is anyway fearless because he is the leader. At the same time, he has to tell his followers or his subordinates that they can also be fearless in expressing their ideas. Only when there is a two-way process can we have a clear understanding and easy communication between both the parties. He needs to seek honest feedback, and there has to be self-disclosure with his team members. He has to build a collective vision and mission towards which they can work together and be close or get closer, inch closer towards the direction of the organizational goals. It is the duty of the leader to make information ready when and wherever it is possible. It is also the duty of the leader to establish trust between himself and the followers. They should be able to come up to him for work related issues as well as personal issues. That is the kind of respect he will instill in them when he is listening to whatever they have to say. Becoming inclusive will definitely work in the positive direction towards the performance of the group. Having patience and listening to them completely will also bring about a sense of camaraderie in the group, which will work towards the positive performance of the group. The leader has to show resourcefulness in the sense that people should come to him and ask him something for information. They should have an opinion that yes, if we go to such and such a person, our doubts will get clarified definitely. He should be a resourceful man. And how will resourcefulness come about? It will come about only when there is constant learning. Create an environment that will stimulate yourself and your subordinates continuously towards giving extraordinary performance. Now, why do we need a leader? We need a leader to bring out the best results. When guidance is given, people tend to perform better. So, when there is a leader to guide you through, it is his duty also to bring about the best performance from his group. A leader has to therefore motivate, inspire and push his followers to give their best shot, whatever the situation, how much ever the complexity is. So far, we have seen the various skills that are necessary for a leader to have in order to make his leadership effective. There are a few other techniques that are going to bring about leadership effectiveness. They are training, job design and behavioral management. Leaders can themselves go to training programs where they can better their skills. What I was 10 years back, what I learned 10 years back will not hold good now in any way. So, when you go in for a training program, you are going to acquire new skills. Similarly, training and refresher courses are definitely going to help the leader make his leadership more effective. Another technique of leadership effectiveness is job redesign. Doing the monotonous job throughout is definitely boring. Restructuring the job, redesigning the job will bring about some enrichment and the person will be given more responsibility. Then the person is also given some autonomy and feedback. It was found that when employees perceive these characteristic changes in their job, they gave out high quality of work. Leaders also have to give special attention to autonomy and feedback characteristics of the jobs that people are taking under them. Give autonomy to your subordinate, he will feel more responsible. Autonomy involves empowering the subordinates to make decisions and solve problems on their own. This way, the person is going to see his output directly. He is not always led by the leader. He has been given some freedom to accomplish a particular task. He feels completely responsible for the outcome. Feedback also can be built in some jobs, but leaders also must provide specific and immediate performance feedback so that it can bring about more positive behavior. Behavior management approach is another skill or technique that will foster leadership effectiveness. Behavior management approach involves reinforcement practices and the social learning theory. Leadership effectiveness can be brought about when you are rewarded for your right kind of handling a situation, when you are reinforced for the particular outcome. When there is a reward, there is every tendency that you are going to remember that style and try to behave in a similar manner or work in a similar manner in another condition. Modeling is one way in which one can be given the skills of leadership effectiveness. Show the leaders or the subordinates clips where the leaders have been highly effective in managing the job, managing their team. Such kind of training, such kind of learning can definitely contribute towards more leadership effectiveness. To sum up, There is no singular right way which will state that this particular procedure is right here and it is right there. The organization is ultimately bothered about getting the positive results. It is the job of the leader to enforce or implement the requirements of the organization, translate them to the subordinates in an effective manner and work collectively towards attaining the goals. Once you achieve success in this, you could say the leadership has been effective.